Hi, I'm Dr. Annie Brook.
Wait, start again.
Hi, I'm Dr. Annie Brook. I'm a somatic psychologist, a body-mind centering teacher, and co-owner of Colorado Therapies. And I'm here to share with you that babies know. Babies do know, and they do perceive, and all that we've experienced in our early development folds into our adult intimacy and responsiveness and relationship. So I have a little exercise for you to play with, and this is to understand some of the imprinting that might be in your nervous system. So grab a pencil and a piece of paper and take a moment and close your eyes and muse about what was happening for your little infant self. Now you won't remember perhaps cognitively, but you might have sensations, you might have stories that were told to you. And I want you to imagine what you think was happening during your conception. So take a moment, think about what time of day was it, what time of year. You won't know what time of day, but if you imagine what state your parents were in. And so you're getting sort of the sense of what was going on. And then write that down. I'll tell you all of this and then give you a chance to write as well. So you want to do the same thing with when your mother discovered she was pregnant. What do you think was in her mind, or your father? What was going on at that time? How did they solve that? Were they excited? Were they ready? Were they overwhelmed? Was mom, had 5 kids already? All of these factors are just what happened. We don't want to make them bad. We don't want to pathologize our life. But what we can do is understand some of our responses that we developed identity beliefs at that time. Sometimes a baby who's unwanted thinks that there's something wrong with them, when in fact the parents just didn't have the resources, or it wasn't the right timing. And so if you can help differentiate what was going on from your sense of self, you don't have to carry that forward. And I see it again and again in adult intimacy dynamics, that when the stress happens, we go back to the earliest beliefs. So those are some things to look at: conception and discovery. Another thing to think about is what happened right before birth. Was there enough time? Were people ready? Did you come prematurely? Was the womb nourishing? Was it toxic? Was there a lot of nicotine? All these factors influence adult behavior. They influence child behavior. So now take a moment again and think about just before your birth, the stories you might have known. You might notice if you have chronic migraines, or you have pressure sensitivities, or you get really sensitive if people are too close to you. These kinds of sensitivities can sometimes be because there was too much going on. Mammals like to give birth when it's quiet and they have lots of support, and maybe some mammals give birth alone. And so there's beautiful footage of Brazil births where the mother will birth the baby in a squat position and let the baby rest a moment. She'll look away, kind of regroup, and then she'll pick up her child. So there is not this quickly cutting of the umbilical cord, lifting the baby out of the womb if it's cesarean, or taking it off to be cleaned and suctioned. There's a much more organic process. And this is what influences our nervous system. So if we can return to the organicness of our own bodies, we will often settle a lot of adult development or child behavior that seems incongruent or inconsistent. So now take a moment and think about your birth. Muse about the stories you've heard. If you have any sort of chronic twists or torques, you might wonder, well, how did you spiral out of the birth canal? And then take a moment to write, and just let it be spontaneous writing, whatever comes to your consciousness. This is another way to start to listen to your own developmental story. And in psychology and health, if we can become all that we have been and done, we become fierce with reality. And this is what, that's Florida Scott Maxwell. This is what gives us the ability to stand firm in our decisions, to interact with others, to feel humanely connected and attached and befriended, and to use the resources of our vitality and life force for our pleasure and development. So these are two little short exercises. We've been looking at conception and discovery. We've now looked at birth. The third one I want you to explore is what happened post-birth. So take a moment and reflect. Sometimes people like to close their eyes or look down. And just think about, was your birth vaginal? Was it right after birth? Were you allowed to stay with your mom? Sometimes a baby will be in shock and unable to bond even when the mother's ready. If the baby's full of anesthesia, because it comes through the umbilical cord, if the baby's got forceps trauma, they are not able to want to relate. They're still processing pain. And so think about post-birth. Were you a nursery baby, only brought in at specific feeding times? Were you allowed to rest on your mom's chest right away and let the placenta finish delivering all of its healthy baby blood so that you had enough oxygen as you were learning to breathe? These are all factors that influence post-birth, which influence the ability to attach and bond. So take a moment, think about your birth. Was Dad there? Did you feel his support? All of these things are healthy, secure environmental conditions that allow our nervous system to settle. And then write that down, what you discover. And then the last thing I would say is, after post-birth time, what was the environment like for your attachment? Did you have a mother who could rest in herself, who was supported enough by the father who was able to bond and connect? Or did you have too much anxiety? Were people worried? Were there so many siblings that you always had to, jump back because everyone wanted to play with you? Sometimes well-intended mothers are invasive because they have, nobody else to talk to except the baby all day long. When we don't have a tribal society, not to enamor those tribal societies, but to know that as social beings we need interaction. And so isolated mothers will often become too connected to the baby. These are all things to think about. And as you think about them, how you can use it not to re-traumatize yourself or to feel miserable about your life, but to actually heal your difficulties with intimacy, your relationship dynamics, the triggers in your nervous system, is to befriend those moments of your own biography, to be able to slow down and pause and feel when you've got a knot in your stomach, to feel when your heart is racing, to notice when you start projecting on someone you care about all the early attachment dynamics that happened. Because we're efficient beings. We love to recreate what's familiar. And I've seen so many couples train their partners to treat them in the same miserable way they were treated in their family, even if they don't want to. Now, the good news is your partner can't heal you. You have to do it yourself. But if you can pick up your own earliest experience and in a way take that infant and keep them on your chest, so you're not self-abandoning and trying to get someone else to heal you, you'll have great luck. There's a lot of airplane going by. So I'll just wait and say this last part again. Because we respond to our environment, just like we respond to the airplane. And so I know it's an airplane and it's not dangerous and I am okay. And that's what you need to do as an adult, to know your internal triggers, to stop, look around, reorient, realize, oh, this is just my partner, or oh, I'm just stressed because blah, 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 what happened at work. And that way we don't abuse our beloveds. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your discoveries. And if you get stirred up with this material, take it to a good therapist and get the professional support that will help you thrive in your intimacy and relationships. Thank you. You can reach me at coloradotherapies.com, anniebrook.com, and you can also go online and Google pre and perinatal early attachment, and you'll probably find resources in your area. Thanks so much.
You need to redo, you can reach me, because I